Good Evening Bahamas coming up tonight.
PSA Chairman Dwight Smith reveals his views on crime. That story's coming up.
Police catch a murder suspect during a raid, plus an expert from the IDB talks disaster management. Welcome to our news. I'm Kyle Joaquin. Thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight, the high rate of crime has been a concern for many, including police officers who have been working around the clock to combat it. That's according to Police Staff Association President Dwight Smith, who says officers are working harder than ever to combat crime. Jasmine Brown has the story.
The PSA chairman says it's not just murders that are keeping police busy, as armed robberies and even petty crimes are also causing officers to work night and day.
There's never a quiet day in the Royal Bahamas Police Force. There's always something to do. I mean, armed robberies and those sort of things and I don't wish to speak too much to it because I haven't got that approval from the Commissioner of Police to do so. But they're just those tip of the iceberg stuff that you talk about. There's more other things that the police deal with in other matters of crime.
40 people have been murdered in the Bahamas so far this year. That compares to 41 around the same time last year. In 2015, the murder count hit a record-breaking 146. Smith says given the high rate of crime, even PSA executives have been reassigned in a bid to get more officers on the streets.
You know, Commissioner is saying crime is high, so he not dismantled, but took away all the executive from the association. So it was only few.
When asked about the morale of officers, Smith said this.
But the morale don't have anything so much to do as to the crime level. I feel that every police officer is doing the very best that he or she can with whatever resources that they have in fighting crime.
Earlier this week, Minister of State for National Security Keith Bell acknowledged that successive governments, including the F&M, attempted to address crime and deep-seated societal problems with the best intentions. Bell had previously blamed the Ingram administration for the high rate of crime in the Bahamas.
Crime must be collectively addressed by not just police, but all those state partners. I think that's the way crime ought to be looked at.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Well, speaking of those hardworking officers, police reportedly caught a murder suspect during a raid. Police were searching for 20-year-old DeAndre Delvon Demerit, seen here on your screen, who was wanted for questioning in reference to a recent murder when they found him in a home located at West Ridge Estates Thursday night. 4 adult males and 2 adult females were also arrested during that raid. And the Defense Force officer spent his first night behind bars last night after he was reportedly caught with a firearm and a quantity of drugs. According to police, just after 1 p.m. yesterday, officers from the Mobile Division were on patrol in the Emmanuel Way area of Soldier Road when they received reports of gunshots. They then went to a home along Emmanuel Way where they conducted a search and found a 9mm pistol with 15 rounds of ammunition, along with a quantity of marijuana. The Defense Force officer and another man was taken into custody in connection with that discovery. Well, as campaigns heat up for the vote yes and vote no camps in the upcoming constitutional referendum, some have questioned whether it has anything to do with gender equality at all. The government has received bipartisan support in rallying people to vote yes to all 4 questions that would be on the ballot. But some, including pastors heading the Vote No campaign or Save Our Bahamas, have questioned whether this has anything to do with gender equality. Queen's Counsel Harvey Tynes has also charged that questions 1 through 3 are more on immigration. Well, one senator, an opposition senator at that, explains why the questions do speak to gender equality.
The way in which gender inequality is expressed in the Constitution is directly tied to the immigration status of a child in 2 instances, with a married woman and with an unmarried male. And so any discussion of securing equality there necessarily also involves a consideration of immigration issues.
He said the fact is pretty straightforward.
Should someone, just because they get married to a Bahamian, be entitled to citizenship on whatever terms when they haven't shown any degree of commitment to the country, when they haven't shown any knowledge or familiarity with national institutions, civic society? These are the questions, and they all because they involve issues of citizenship, naturally involve issues of immigration.
Bills 1, 2, and 3 speak to passing on citizenship in some way, whether to a child or a spouse. Question 4 seeks to end discrimination based on sex. So what if all 4 questions were to be rejected by the people come June 7th?
Well, you know, we'd be left exactly where we are, and the Bahamian people would have to determine, okay, if the way we tried in 2002 and the way we've tried in 2016 don't meet with their approval, perhaps the political directorate and even the Constitutional Commission should reopen these questions and determine whether the Bahamian people could suggest some ways, as some did suggest, some other ways in which the same goal of equality can be affected.
Well, in other news, an associate of the Environmental Affairs Office of the United Nations has found some interesting challenges for the Bahamas when it comes to disaster preparedness and management. Lita Peralta explained to the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce this week that because the Bahamas is a low-lying archipelago with scattered islands, relief and disaster management can be a bit difficult. She said currently, the Bahamas is facing a national development challenge, and that was displayed immediately after the passage of Hurricane Joaquin.
As a country, not only the Bahamas, but in general, a country cannot be rebuilding, reconstructing every few years because it becomes obviously too expensive, and adding to the fact that it's already expensive to provide services to some of the islands.
Islands like Crooked Island, Long Island, and Acklins are still recovering from the devastation of Hurricane Joaquin that occurred back in October.
So it's a matter of acknowledging the fact that we are in the hurricane belt, but also we will be there forever, so hurricanes are the norm. What we can do to avoid disasters is to reduce financial and environmental vulnerabilities.
She said those come in a combination of structural and non-structural measures. Peralta explained that in the UN, they're currently working on a few construction proposals to present to countries. But again, the Bahamas is in a funny situation. She said something as simple as communication is difficult when considering the family islands farthest away from Nassau.
It is very expensive, for example, for telecommunication companies to service. The farther we go, the more expensive it gets. But it's not only telecom, it's electricity, it's water, it's health, it's education. And this is a problem that comes with the fact that populations are very dispersed, not only throughout the 28 islands, but also, as I said, within those islands. But now we have to move a step forward and not only map what are our hazards, but post what services could be interrupted. And I think that this is a challenge for the national government, but also for the chambers of commerce, to have inventories of the infrastructure that your members have, where is it located, what of this infrastructure is to surge, to flooding, to winds. Then also what services could be affected if this infrastructure is damaged.